The following is a mechanically reproduced announcement, previously recorded from a live scheduled program on 24.7 The Stream. This is not a live broadcast. All guests, callers, and hosts granted 24.7 The Stream permission to be recorded. This program may contain strong language or topics not suited for younger listeners. Parental discretion is advised. Thank you for listening to 24.7 The Stream. The unexplained. Unearthly mysteries that fill our minds with more questions than answers. Perhaps one day there will be an answer, but for now, we listen and learn. Welcome to Paranormal Mojo. Join your hosts Chris Cedarstein and Laura Creaser for diverse interviews and discussions about these mysterious topics. Learn from hand-selected paranormal authors, investigators, conspiracy theorists, ufologists, and para-celebrities. Don't just listen. Be a part of the program and contribute to the solution if you've got the mojo. Now, here are your hosts of Paranormal Mojo, Chris Cedarstein and Laura Creaser. On 24.7 The Stream.
Welcome to Paranormal Mojo. You're listening to 24.7 The Stream. And we have your mojo right here, right now. Hey, we have a fantastic show planned for you tonight before we take our 2-week break to celebrate the holidays with our families. We will have Parachannel Neal Gray joining us after the first break to talk about all things paranormal. It's hard to believe Christmas is almost here. Is everybody ready for all that? You have your presents bought and wrapped under the tree with loving care? Nah, me neither, exactly. But we still have time, so stay tuned. We're your hosts, Chris Cedarstein and Laura Creaser. And I'm Chris.
And I'm Laura. Good evening.
Yay! Hey,
everyone got your mojo on tonight?
I do. I really do. Do you?
I sure do. I have been drinking some amazing spring water with lime. I'm doing great.
Yeah, you are. I've got coffee, so I'm not as healthy. But that's all right. That's my mojo.
It's true. I can't believe that Christmas is literally like, what, 8 or 9 days away? What the heck?
I know.
Wow. And then the week after that, we have sorry, Chris.
Go ahead.
You can't believe what?
I just can't believe, December's just flying right along.
Yeah, because then the week after that, it's the new year.
I know. That's exciting, though. I'm ready for a new year.
Yes.
This has been a good year, but
it has been
good. But
new and exciting
who knows
adventure.
What next year will bring. Yes.
Heck yeah.
Hey, and this episode tonight is brought to you in part by Vacation Home Renters Whitetail Lodge. If you're looking for a peaceful and luxurious vacation getaway, then look no further than vacationhomerenter.com's Whitetail Lodge. Did I mention there's ski slopes within walking distance of your back door? Mm-hmm. How awesome is that? That sounds like a great Christmas getaway, don't you think?
Yes. Who doesn't want to... Alrighty, and we're back on the air again. As I had mentioned before, apparently our lovely ghost co-host has been messing with the equipment tonight. That's no shocker, I'm sure.
Nope.
I'm not sure how much of our listeners actually caught, so I'm just going to repeat myself. Tonight we were going to open up with our segment, Laura's Spirit Circle, but you know what? Because we're a little bit distracted with the Christmas theme tonight, I think I'm going to shake up the snow globe, and I want to hear from you listeners. Has anyone out there ever had a real-life either Christmas miracle or a run-in with Santa or an elf? If you have, give us a call. You can dial 618 421-4522. The phone lines are open, and we want to hear these stories. This is sort of a paranormal encounter, I would like to think. Don't you think, Chris?
I do think so. It definitely falls under the paranormal umbrella. So if you have a story, just do it. Call us. Let us know. We love Christmas stories.
That's right.
But in the meantime, I think Laura found a couple Christmas stories she's going to tell us about.
Yeah, I just found these on a website, and of course I found them via my phone. And when I went to go back to locate them actually on my computer, the website mysteriously is not there. So it's kind of odd. It's almost as if perhaps there really is a Kris Kringle out there and doesn't want us to talk about it.
Or it's the ghost co-host again. Shaking things up.
True. Well, I'm not going to use the names in the stories at all, but this first story comes from New York City, New York, and the times that these took place were in 2002, 2004, and 2007. They say here, it was a Christmas Eve of 2002 in New York City. We invited some friends and relatives over for dinner, sort of like a Christmas Eve celebration. After that, I decided to go to my room to watch some television, but there was nothing good to watch. I then found myself pacing back and forth in the hallway. My house is very big, so there was no one but with me in this area. Everyone else was in the living room watching a movie I wasn't interested in. About 7 minutes into my pacing, I saw a tall, fat figure scurrying away about 20 feet away from me. It was crouched down, too. It was even wearing some sort of Santa Claus suit. I don't believe in Santa, but this just freaked me out. There was a strange man in my house. I quickly ran to my parents where I told them all about it. They grinned at me and said jokingly, maybe it was Santa Claus. I didn't believe that, so I just sat down with everybody else in the room and hung out. Then it occurred again on Christmas Eve 2004. I remember it more vividly than the last one. I was laying on the couch in the living room. My parents were in the kitchen having a conversation about a business blog or something. Suddenly, I saw a huge man about 7 or 8 feet tall crawl beneath the tree and just vanish. Before it disappeared, it looked at me and said, "Shh." Very strange. So I went to the kitchen to sit with my parents. Similar things have occurred the following Christmases. I recall one in 2007. It was daylight this time, and I just happened to see another tall figure with a Santa hat trudge by me for 2 seconds, and then it was gone. What do you guys think? What's your view on that, Chris?
I don't know. I think we've talked enough that some of us, not just on Christmas, but any other time of the year, have those experiences where we see something out of the corner of our eye, or like a shadow dart by, or whatever. It's hard to say if it's related to Christmas or if it's just something in that house, maybe, huh?
Yeah, I guess I don't really know either, but that would definitely creep me out, and it would make me think.
It would creep me out.
If it was the same area of the house over and over again that this person happened to see the figure, my first thought would have to say that it is just a memory that is kind of left over and just plays over and over again on Christmas Eve at this exact time in the same place. But the fact that it interacted with the person telling the story, either A, it's an apparition, or B, there really is a Santa out there.
Yeah. I would go with the apparition theory, probably. But, you never know. Maybe that apparition used to play Santa every year or something and just continues to do so because it was like his favorite thing to do.
Well, that's very, very, very true. Once again, if you've ever ran into Santa Claus or his merry elves in real life, or you have a Christmas miracle you'd like to share with us tonight, give us a call at 618-421-4522. It's that simple, people. I do have another couple stories to share. This one actually happened in 1973, so we're talking quite a few years back. It says here that one Christmas Eve about 35 years ago, according to this person, so I'm not sure when this article was made, but that's besides the point. Anyway, this person said they were in their teens and they were in the car with their parents returning home very late at night. We were talking the whole way about Santa Claus and how great it would be if he really existed. As we pulled into the driveway of our house, there he was, tiptoeing in the snow in between two houses across the street. We all laughed when we saw this and remembered the incident for many Christmases after. They said, also, no robberies were reported. So, was it maybe a neighbor's husband dress up as Santa Claus just to kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, because a lot of people do that. They get the whole garb on and even hire people to do that. So, it's hard to say. But how fun, anyway, Oh,
I agree. Alrighty. So then this one is kind of fun. It says here, and this happened in Scotland. Now, keep in mind, all these stories have happened kind of throughout the world. And this one happened in 1978. It says here, an old friend of mine came to see me a couple weeks ago. We had lost touch years ago, but he managed to trace me and brought me a Christmas card. After a few minutes, I asked him if he remembered the Christmas Eve about 30 years ago when we were outside our house, where we grew up next to each other. It must have been around 7:30 p.m., a clear night when we suddenly heard a bell or bells in the distance getting real close, fast. As we both looked up, there was the reindeer, the sleigh, and Santa flying very fast and low over my house. It was very brief, but we both ran to tell our families. Of course, everyone laughed, but I tell you it was real. So when my friend turned up, I asked him if he remembered, and he said of course he did, but he didn't like telling people about it.
I don't blame him. We talked earlier in the week, you and I, about a conversation we had, we thought, with one of our ufology friends. And we were thinking that he had told us a while back, last year, or maybe years ago, I don't remember, but that there are more UFO sightings around this time of year, mm-hmm. and I was going to research that a little more before tonight, but I didn't have time. But that is interesting when you see things like that. It mm-hmm. makes you wonder, huh?
Well, now this one kind of does make me think perhaps this particular Santa was a spirit. It's kind of a creepy story, actually. It says here that the person was 5 years old, and they were in their room when they heard a shuffling in the living room. I got up and peered around the doorway, and there was a man in a Santa suit standing in front of the Christmas tree. He must have felt my presence because he turned around and looked at me. He didn't look jolly or happy or kind like you would expect Santa to be. He kind of looked eerie, like he was staring into my soul. Automatically, I ran to my parents' room, hid under the covers. I don't know why I was so scared at the time, but I wrote it off as a dream for a while before I completely forgot about it. Years later, I remembered it, and I thought it could have been a burglar, but when I asked my parents, nothing had ever been reported missing from the apartment. The only explanation that they believe is that it was also an apparition. So,
well, and sometimes if things are creepy looking like that, it makes you wonder if it is a darker energy that is appearing to be something it's not.
Right. We've heard that before.
Yeah, we have. So maybe he's dressing up like making you think it's a Santa.
I don't know.
It's not. Be interesting to know if he had any other paranormal experiences.
I agree. Yeah. Now, this one happened in Memphis, Tennessee. It says here, I grew up in the suburb of Memphis, Tennessee in the 1980s, and I was 8 or 9 years old. My parents and I were coming home from a Christmas Eve party, and we were pulling up in the driveway. We saw Santa Claus in a sleigh hovering above our house. As we could hear the sleigh bells, the sleigh was illuminated so that we could see Santa in his full outfit. I remember seeing the reindeer, but I don't remember how many there were. Santa waved at us and flew off in the sleigh. I'll never forget it, and I'll never forget my dad's face of total shock. He was an air traffic controller, and when he went back to work after the holidays, he asked about it, and nothing came up. And apparently the same person around 2009 was in line at a local retail store, and they happened to kind of break out into conversation with another person in line, and they were just kind of talking about Christmas shopping. And this other person happened to mention that their brother had seen Santa Claus in his sleigh 2 years before. Now, that's kind of interesting.
Uh-huh. You wonder how much any of those people may have had to drink at these Christmas parties before they saw Santa, though. You know.
But, you know, that sounded like it was a little kid. I don't really know.
It did.
Now, this one kind of, this is the last one I'll tell us tonight, but this one kind of makes me think UFO, maybe? I don't know. But it says that this person saw something when they were 7. It was a dark night around midnight on Christmas Eve. They were in bed, but they weren't sleeping. All of a sudden, they saw a red light beaming down into the window. It was so bright, and somehow they knew it was him. They looked up into the sky, but all they could see was a bright light coming from a small object. They didn't hear a helicopter or anything, but they did hear the unique sound of bells and, of course, the sound of hooves tapping on the roof. These sounds lasted for a few seconds before the light disappeared and they were gone. It's kind of interesting. But we're going to leave you with those thoughts, and we're going to go skip off and take a break. But I promise we'll be right back with more fun and Peppermint Candy Kings. You're listening to 24.7 WHBR DB The Stream.
Ask yourself, when was the last time I took a vacation? It's been a while, hasn't it? If you're looking for a well-deserved, peaceful getaway, then look no further than Vacation Home Renter's Whitetail Lodge. Let the professionals at VacationHomeRenter.com help you with the vacation spot of your dreams, the Whitetail Lodge. This clean, cozy, and gorgeous cabin is a spacious 3,100 square foot, 5-bedroom, 3.5 bath that is perfect for large families or entertaining friends. Did I mention it comes with an outdoor hot tub? Relax with modern luxuries like central air, wood-burning fireplace, Wi-Fi, enormous covered deck, and flat-screen TVs in every room. Just minutes from Terry Peak Ski Area and other popular attractions like Mount Rushmore and Custer State Park. Don't wait another minute to book the Whitetail Lodge and stay in the vacation home you're looking for. Visit online at VacationHomeRenter.com and select the beautiful Whitetail Lodge. 24.7 The Stream is proud to recognize official sponsor Sarpino's Pizzeria, right here in Naperville. Serving the Naperville community for many years, Sarpino's features a fantastic menu and offers you a 5-star gourmet experience guaranteed. You won't find a more diverse menu of succulent appetizers, fresh salads, custom sandwiches, entrees, or tasty desserts at any other pizzeria in the area. Conveniently located Located at 1567 North Aurora Road in Naperville, Sarpino's is open all 365 days, offering free delivery and open late nights on Friday and Saturday until 3 a.m. For excellent products, exceptional service every time. Visit Sarpino's in Naperville or order online at gosarpinos.com. And now for those of you with a sweet tooth out there. Folks, I gotta tell you, and I'm not saying what I'm about to say because they're a great sponsor of this radio station. I mean, they are, but I'm just saying, if you're in Naperville and you haven't visited Joe and Doe Donuts, you owe it to yourself and your kids to find out what a gourmet donut experience is all about. Since opening for business earlier this year, they've kind of taken the Naperville community by storm. I went in and tried their signature donut called the Maple Bacon Donut, and it just exploded on my taste buds. Then there was the Fat Elvis, which was enough to make me sing. Anyway, with an incredible selection of handmade donuts made with just the right texture and an array of toppings, do yourself a favor and indulge in a guilty pleasure. Joe and Doe Donuts is located 1523 North Aurora Road in Naperville and open 7 days a week. Give them a try. You won't regret it, and you'll definitely tell a friend.
The weather outside is cold, but we're smoking hot.
Hot damn.
You're listening to the best in paranormal talk on WHVR Digital Broadcasting.
Welcome back to Paranormal Mojo on 24.7 The Stream. We're getting in the Christmas spirit around here, pun intended. So stay tuned. We'll have some more good stuff coming up. The chat room's open, so if you aren't already in there, jump on over to the WHVRdigital.com, hit the Unexplained channel and listen and chat. You can sign in as a guest or through Facebook. So just jump on in there. If you have any questions for us or for our guest when we get him on the air here pretty quick, Neal Gray, you can type them in there in capital letters with a QQ in front, and we'll get the questions. And we'll answer them if we can.
Of course we will. And if you have a question and you'd like to ask it yourself and on the air, you can most definitely give us a call. We will make that happen for you. The number you will want to dial is 618-421-4522. That's 618-421-4522. We don't bite hard at all.
And if we do, we've had our shots, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so without further ado, let's get our guest for tonight on the air. Neal Gray is a fascinating fellow, I must say. He's a trans-channel medium, a psychic intuitive, and a paranormal investigator, all rolled into one. So Neal's definitely our kind of guy. He's an instructor at Elevated Delights, our very favorite metaphysical store and intuitive arts training center. And he's all about helping others transform their lives, and it's just a pleasure to have him on the show. Did I mention he's a fellow 24.7 The Stream host? Well, he is. So let's welcome Neal to Paranormal Mojo.
Good to be here.
Yay!
All right. Well, Neal, we have a fun little game which you are pretty well acquainted with. Yeah.
Well, you listen to this show, so what do you expect?
Well, we appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, we do.
But for our listeners out there that have never heard the show before, the first thing we always like to play is Ghost Fire. And what this is, it is random questions that we will ask Neal, and he's just supposed to tell us what comes to the top of his head. It's a fun time. We learn a little bit about him, and we get some giggles in there. It's all good.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, bring it on.
Bring it on. Okay. So it's Christmas, you know. And let's say that your wife is the real Santa Claus. Is she going to put you on the naughty list or the nice list? You getting a gift or a piece of coal in your stocking?
Well, I'd probably get one of each. I would say a piece of coal would probably be appreciated by me because I'm just that kind of weird.
That's cool.
Well,
Yeah.
There's actually a story when I was in college. My brother, he ran over to one of the energy plants on the campus, and he actually took some of the coal and gave it to somebody for Christmas one year. It was one of that powdered coal, but the thing that is the idea is still there.
Yeah, it worked, I bet.
Nice.
I like it.
All right. So what is your most favorite Christmas treat of all time?
Christmas treat?
Mm-hmm.
I would have to go with eggnog. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. I mean, Christmas cookies are there, but you kind of lose your taste for that after a while. So I'd go with eggnog. And the best eggnog I ever had was living in Iowa. Still, when we go back to Iowa, we're going to have to get some of that eggnog there. It is really good.
Well, good luck with that. Sounds good. Okay, so other than don't eat yellow snow, what wintertime words of wisdom do you have for the kiddies out there?
Make sure you keep your mittens dry.
Ooh, that is good advice.
That is good advice.
Yeah, there are many snow sledding experiences where your gloves got wet. That is not fun.
Very true. All right. So if you could have a piece of paranormal investigation equipment for Christmas, what would it be?
There's actually a device that's out there. I can't think of the name of it, but what it is a heads-up display used by police and supposed to be for fire departments. But what it is it puts a little camera under your eye, and it allows other cameras to attach this device. Ooh. And one of those attachments is FLIR.
Well, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and it does full recording, and it's all head-mounted, so you don't actually have to do anything.
Cool.
It just records. I wish I had $5,000 for this thing.
Oh my gosh, I want one too.
That's what I was going to say. We're all putting that on our list now.
Yeah.
So. Okay, we were just wondering if you could tell us just what is Victoria's secret?
I don't think Victoria has a secret.
Okay.
And maybe that's a secret.
I like that.
Curious, you know.
That's funny.
You know, if she did have a secret, it's long out there by now. I mean, as skimpy as clothes that they show. I mean, it's like they're not hiding anything.
Right? Oh, that's funny. So, boxers or briefs?
I actually wear boxer briefs.
Well, there you go.
Combination.
It's the best of both worlds.
Yes, it is. Okay, so you're walking just in the park. You're out walking in the park and you come across a portal in the snow. Are you going to just dive in head first or hang around and maybe see what comes in or out of that thing? Or are you going to run the other way like a little girl?
Well, first I'm going to check to make sure it isn't ice and there's not water on the other side. I'll probably tap it with my foot. And then if it's okay, I'm just going to go right through.
Well, there you go. Awesome.
That's a good one. Okay, Neal, you have 1 hour and an unlimited amount of money. What are you going to do?
Only 1 hour?
Yeah.
1 hour.
I don't know if I could do it in an hour.
What would you like to do?
Skulls is what I do.
Oh, cool.
You know, why not?
Why not? Why not?
It would take more than an hour, but...
Well, you could get a good start, maybe.
Yeah.
Research that now, just in case. Okay, so I'm in charge of Santa's sleigh this year. Which reindeer are you, and why should I let you pull Santa's sleigh around on Christmas Eve?
I'm blitzing because I had some of that eggnog.
That works. You're on. You're good.
That's funny. Oh my goodness.
I had to go there.
Oh, you'll love this one then. So if you were an elf, where would you work in Santa's workshop? Do you have any hidden elf talents?
I'd probably be stuck somewhere in the IT section or something like that, you know, like I normally am doing in real life, except as an elf. Knowing I just can't break away from that. It's just part of me. So it's like, it's going to be one of those things where it's like, you're an elf and here's a computer.
Say, Laura and
I'd like to be on the wooden hammer mallet stuff. And
oh, cool.
Yeah, but no.
I figure Laura and I would just be shipped off to the island of misfit toys. But we'd have fun there, don't you think?
I think so.
I think. Okay, so what is your very favorite color?
Oh, it changes from day to day. So I normally lean toward blue, sometimes black, sometimes violet, sometimes white.
What's the color today?
It's blue.
Okay.
Why is it that it changes colors just depending on your mood?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm not like totally like into a certain color, so when one jumps out, it just jumps out.
I can respect
Alrighty
that.
then.
It's cool. And actually, I'm changing up the last little Ghost Fire question here to one nerd from another nerd.
Okay.
What is your all-time favorite Star Wars movie?
Oh, I would still have to go with the first and original Episode 4.
All right.
I mean, you can't beat it as far as like the storyline, how simple it is, how you'll totally feel for the main character, this coming of age type thing. It's something they never really captured in any of the rest of the films.
Even with all the CGI effects and actors and everything like that?
Well, the first three films, I think they lost their heart because they really didn't have that. You're going with the characters. It just kind of seemed like, oh, the characters do stuff.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, this should be amazing, but it's not.
Are you a Spaceballs fan then as well?
I have watched it several times, but I suppose. I mean, I'm more of a Star Trek type guy, so, you know, I have the lightsaber, but it's like I also am a big Star Trek fan, so I go both directions on that. So
you're a Trekkie. It's awesome.
Yeah, I play Star Trek online all the time.
Nice.
Well, fun. Well, thanks for playing along, Neal. It's always fun to give our audience a chance to see the other side of our guests and break the ice a little, and it's just fun. So we appreciate you.
Yep.
So our first question is always, how did you become involved in researching the paranormal and the metaphysical? Would you like to tell us your story? Is this something that, you know, you've always dealt with throughout your whole entire life? Or is this something that you kind of just picked up on and realized, oh, this has been a part of my life for the last X amount of years?
Well, I think the latter of it is probably more true than I realized, because when I was very young, I would constantly be putting the covers over my head, thinking that there's somebody in the room, somebody standing there, but not really seeing anything. In hindsight, one of the other things that came up was I would be getting these hearing tests and doing really bad. And what it turned out was going on is I was having this intelligent ringing that happened every time I put the headphones on. Now, some people say, well, that's actually a normal thing that goes on. And it's like, okay, yes, I would agree to that, except, and when we get into what I did as a paranormal investigator, I started questioning that and actually got it to act intelligently. But I'm getting ahead of myself there. Fast forward till about 2009, I had been dealing with very warm hands for the longest time, not knowing why my hands were super warm. And I did some research on it and found a story of I think it was a Swedish princess that had very warm hands. It was known that she had very warm hands, and that was a sign that she should be a Reiki practitioner. So I decided to go through that route. I did some Reiki classes, went all the way through the master level, and when I got to the end of it, I just didn't feel like that was the right direction. I wasn't quite sure why, but it was just like, this doesn't seem right. So what happened after that was I ended up joining a paranormal group to try to figure out what I'm really experiencing, what I'm really trying to understand what's going on, because now I'm starting to get the ringing even more often and more intelligently. And it was in working with that paranormal group, I've had some of the best experiences and worst experiences with the paranormal. The worst experiences lead to why I am no longer with that group and why I started my own. But some of the best experiences was I was able to get my hands on an obelisk. And I spent we
have one of those.
I spent an entire day with one. Just having it on, just letting it play. Because I was getting spirits showing up in my office at home. And I was able to record them, get them on audio. So it's like, I know I had something there. And over the course of, it was actually a week, I did this for about 6-7 hours a day. Just had this on, off to the side. If anything was to come around me, it should have set that off. And nothing over that entire week. So that was one of the things that made me start questioning why devices work the way they do, how they work, and start looking at those a little closely. But around the same time, I actually witnessed a aura. It was a gold aura, and it was about 3.5, 4 feet tall on the opposite side of my desk. And it looked basically like a little girl was standing there.
Ooh.
And it was just right there in my field of vision, and I was just staring at it. And I think I stared at it for several minutes before it turned and walked away.
And how old were you when you saw this, or
this was when
you were an adult?
2009, right? Yeah.
2011, I think is.
Oh wow, so pretty
2010,
recent.
2011 is when that happened. Since then, I've had a couple more experiences seeing spirits. I've actually heard voices while in my office at that time, one of which is the funniest, because I'm just sitting there working along. I don't have any sounds playing or anything like that. And over my shoulder, I hear somebody say, "Who's Michael Jordan?" And I'm like going, where would that question come from? How would that be relevant? And who would ask that kind of question? So I'm thinking that there's two spirits behind me, and they're talking basketball for some reason. It's like the neighborhood I live in, it's much older people. There are no kids. They're not talking basketball. If anything, they're talking about their retirement funds and stuff like that. So nobody's talking basketball.
Well, and they would know who Michael Jordan is.
Yeah, they would know who Michael Jordan is because it's Chicago. Yeah. So that was one of those moments where it's like I was actually hearing stuff and understanding what was going on. There was something more to that. So, yeah. After that, I actually experienced my first ghost outing where I was actually seeing ghosts. And what was happening was we were out in a cemetery in Naperville. And what happened is we were there till about dusk. And so as the sun was setting, kind of get that blue hue that you get when the sun goes down. And as it gets darker and darker, I started seeing what looked like legs just walking around. And they were all over the place. I mean, I probably saw like 5, 6, 7 of these things. And so the head of the team at the time, she's a medium. She could see spirits just like they were normal people. And
yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. If the legs.
So like I saw the legs, and I'm like going, did I just see what I thought I saw? And she said, yes, there's a lady standing right there.
Huh.
And I'm like, oh, okay. So I did see what I saw. And that led into one of the investigations while I was on the team, where it was in the middle of the night, and we were waken up by a loud bang from upstairs, because we actually stayed on location overnight at this house. A person that owned the house, they weren't living there at the time, but they were thinking about living there, and turned out there was something around the order of 12 ghosts in this house. I'm not even sure the number. It was a lot. Let me just say that. It was a lot. So you actually could hear on the cameras, because one of the things I actually took away from that paranormal group was a DVR system with microphones attached to them. And it's like, that helps so much.
Oh, yeah.
And like when you're watching these DVR videos, if you don't have audio for that, you don't know that like something happened. Or if something moves, you want to actually hear the audio that goes with it. So I deliberately tried to get this unit, and so that's what I did for my team, was I bought that unit. Best thing I ever did. Anyway, so a couple of people, they got up really fast because they were able to do that. It took me a while to get up. I get up, and they were like, oh, you finally got up, and we were talking with the spirit, and I walk into the kitchen, and I turn around to look back, and I think it was in the dining room. And standing right there looked like somebody took a brown crayon and just drew an outline of somebody.
Oh, wow.
And they were standing right there.
Oh, I'm going to stop you right there, because we got to go take our second break of the night. But I want everyone to stick around for the thrilling story to find out what's going to happen with this brown crayon outline person thing. It's going to be awesome. Stick around after these short messages from our station sponsors. You're listening to WHVR DB 24.7 The Stream.
Many of us struggle with health issues or pain of some form or another, yet you can't seem to find the reason why the aching continues. But there's a way to uncover and treat the sources of all your ailments. For the past 20 years, the practitioners at New Life Holistic Health have been helping people find and overcome the root causes of their health trials, rebalance, and restore their energy. Their New Life method combines today's most effective holistic therapies along with the quantum life system biofeedback full body scan, scanning you for over 7,000 health-related issues. This powerful method gives you the answers you've been searching for. Don't wait another day or even another minute to take back control of your health. Call 630-510-3180 or visit newlifeholistic.com for your free consultation. Mention you heard this ad on the stream and receive $25 off your first visit. New Life Holistic Health. newlifeholistic.com. Ask yourself, when was the last time I took a vacation? It's been a while, hasn't it? If you're looking for a well-deserved, peaceful getaway, then look no further than Vacation Home Renters Whitetail Lodge. Let the professionals at vacationhomerenter.com help you with the vacation spot of your dreams, the Whitetail Lodge. This clean, cozy, and gorgeous cabin is a spacious 3,100 square foot, 5-bedroom, 3.5 bath that is perfect for large families or entertainment entertaining friends. Did I mention it comes with an outdoor hot tub? Relax with modern luxuries like central air, wood-burning fireplace, Wi-Fi, enormous covered deck, and flat-screen TVs in every room. Just minutes from Terry Peak Ski Area and other popular attractions like Mount Rushmore and Custer State Park. Don't wait another minute to book the Whitetail Lodge and stay in the vacation home you're looking for. Visit online at vacationhomerenter.com and select the beautiful Whitetail Lodge. Get lost in the realm of thrilling mystery with the Mojo series by Chris Cedarstein. Follow 6 small-town teenagers who decide to make a ghost hunting documentary and become blindly thrown into a world of haunting chills they were not expecting in Lost Mojo. Or follow college student Scotty Brown, who is aggressively haunted by vivid nightmares and daytime apparitions. As he begins to search for answers, he puts himself and those closest to him face to face with pure evil. Can he defeat these malevolent beings with a small team of paranormal investigators? Find out in her second title, Mojo. The Mojo series is available on paperback or digital download on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and wherever books are sold. The Mojo series by Chris Cedarstein. Get your copies today if you've got the Mojo.
We can't afford to buy your affection. So if you don't mind, we'll just try and earn it. WHVRdigital.com.
We're back on Paranormal Mojo 24.7 The Stream. We're talking paranormal investigating with trans-channel medium and psychic intuitive Neal Gray. We're hearing some good ghost stories. The chat room's open, so if you have any questions or comments, type them on in there, and we will get them to Neal.
Yeah, okay, so Neal, you were talking with us and telling us you were in the middle of a story, and I so rudely had to interrupt you because we had to go to break. We had to pay the bills. Do you want to take off where you had left off?
Well, yeah, that basically covered what I can tell from the investigation. The team was very secretive and didn't let any information out. And so I think that's about as far as I can go without telling anything about the investigation itself. So
okay.
Yeah, it was, all I know is, like, after the fact, that there was way more evidence than they normally had. And by way more, I mean, I listened to 300 plus EVPs myself.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
How many hours worth is that?
It was over 2 days, so that's about 16 hours of audio. It took me over 40 hours to actually go through it all once.
Oh, yeah.
And they didn't like how I did it, so they wanted me to do it again over the Christmas holiday. And I said, that's not going to happen, because it's impossible. So that's why I'm not on the team. But yeah, it was a lot. And I guess the video evidence that they had was even more spectacular. I didn't see a single picture of it.
Wow.
I heard one, you could actually see an orb walk up the stairs. Like feet.
Oh,
just go
boy.
left, right, up the stairs. It was supposed to be something to see. I didn't see it. Okay.
So when you, we do have a question in chat rooms, but before we get to that, I do have a quick question concerning this particular subject.
Sure.
So when you saw the outlines of these bodies for the first time, pretty much, did it at first were you kind of like, what the heck? And then did your heart beat a little faster and go, okay, that was something paranormal. Now it's getting a little creepy.
Oh, no. You actually get excited. You like going, I saw that. I saw that. I saw that. You know, and it's like you get really excited because you actually do see it. And one of the things that happened at a different time was like we were doing a spirit board, just playing with spirit board, and something caused me to turn my head 90 degrees to the left. And at the same time, I'm opposite the medium. She turns her head 90 degrees to the right. And we do so, and you see this round head-looking thing that's just yellow pop behind the wall. As if it was looking at us and just, oops.
Wow.
And I'm like, going, did you see that? And it's like, she gave me a look like, of course I saw that. I'm the medium. Of course I saw. I'm like, going, really? I saw that. And it's like, it was one of those times where it's like, I can't believe I saw that, but I saw that. You know, so
yeah.
It's been an interesting ride trying to learn how to like get to the point where it's like I'm starting to see these more. But it isn't without like trial and error. And
you know, that's kind of a question that I had for you. It's like, you know, Laura is a psychic intuitive, more or less. She doesn't know what to call herself, but I think that's a pretty good description of her gifts.
Yeah, it's currently all internal. That's what I'm getting. I can like see that's like it's all internalized, and there's just a little bit that you have to do, and it starts popping.
So what did you do to really hone those gifts over time? You know,
That came when I started working with Ariel and Donna at Elevated Delights, and leads into how I ended up teaching the clarity class.
Right.
Mm.
So we do
want to talk about that clarity class, but
there was still one more thing that happened with this paranormal group, and then I can leave them alone.
and
it happened because one of the things that you like to do is you like to go to the cemetery. And there's a couple cemeteries in Chicago. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of them, but there's pretty popular cemeteries. One of them, actually, is the St. James Cemetery. And this one, I didn't think I was going to get a whole lot of stuff out of it. I was just going just for kicks. Didn't think I was going to have a really big experience there. And it turned out to be the exact opposite. It was huge. So we're doing this. We're walking around. At one point, one of the other guys, he had something that almost felt like it clawed at his back. So he had this very cold spot right on his back. Pulled up his back. I took pictures of it. You could tell it was kind of clammy and stuff like that. Letting you know, hey, it's cold there. When we go to start leaving, we're walking along, and then all of a sudden had to stop. And it turned out there was a spirit standing at this tombstone that was waiting to talk to me. And I'm like going, what's this about? And so I'm like asking 20 questions, like, who are you? Are you related to me? And it turns out I had a past life regression done as an intro into the group. And one of the experiences I had was something about in the 1870s, thereabouts, being on stage in a saloon somewhere. I got the location of Salt Creek, and that's about all I got. So as I'm standing here next to this tombstone, I'm being told that the tombstone is that of me and my husband. So, yeah.
You floozy, you.
Now you're getting it. Okay, so I was like, I'm like researching where's this Salt Creek. It turns out there is a Salt Creek that ran through Chicago.
Oh wow!
In that general area.
Yeah,
wow.
That is cool.
Yeah. So we had some interesting EVPs out of that locations, one of which, because there's a cathedral on site, you actually can hear somebody praying for us.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Wow, that's kind of unique.
It starts out as a mumble, and then they end with "Dear Jesus." So I'm like,
save these people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, hey, so have you ever gone to the Resurrection Cemetery and looked for Resurrection Mary?
Actually, I was there earlier this year for the first
cool.
time. I didn't think it was all that haunted. If anything, it's just kind of gaudy looking.
Oh, really?
And it doesn't feel like it's as active as the other two cemeteries that are on Archer Avenue. And there are two other cemeteries. One of the other cemeteries, and I can't remember the name of this other cemetery, but I ended up taking my team there, and we actually ran into an elemental.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Well, one of the things I love using dowsing rods, because that just cuts through all the clutter and just gives you the answer. Right? And so we got pulled to the forest line, and once we were there, we were talking, and with what apparently was an elemental, that's what it told us it was, and we did get an EVP out of that one, and it actually was... We asked, did it know any of the members of the team? And it actually said that member's name.
Wow.
And so it didn't sound like anybody else within the group, so there's your EVP.
Yeah, that's a bit odd.
Yeah.
The question we have kind of goes along with investigating in that. From the chat rooms here, Marcellus wants to know, do you think that skeptical investigators are hurting the field? Meaning those that try to look at things logically as opposed to maybe, just saying, yeah, that's paranormal.
Well, there is a place for skepticism, but you got to realize that skepticism is a mindset. And that there are two mindsets. There is either belief or there is skepticism. You can take a third position, but it's a position by choice and not of a mindset, and that is to consider both sides as being correct.
Well, but don't you think before you can call something paranormal, you have to rule out other normal things in the area?
Well, before you say that. It's when you're doing your initial work, when you're doing your baselines, when you're gathering all the information, before you actually start trying to communicate with the spirits there, that's the time when you're able to do all the debunking you want. And I teach it in my paranormal class. I teach it to my team. This is what you have to do. You gotta...
Don't hate me, but we're going to actually have to go take a short break, top of the hour break here, but I promise we'll have lots more fun in the dark with Paranormal Mojo and Neal Gray. And remember that if someone asks you if you like scary movies, you always answer yes. You're listening to WHVRDB 24.7 The Stream.
24.7 The Stream is proud to recognize official sponsor Sarpino's Pizzeria, right here in Naperville. Serving the Naperville community for many years, Sarpino's features a fantastic menu and offers you a 5-star gourmet experience guaranteed. You won't find a more diverse menu of succulent appetizers, fresh salads, custom sandwiches, entrees, or tasty desserts at any other pizzeria in the area. Conveniently located at 1567 North Aurora Road in Naperville, Sarpino's is open all 365 days, offering free delivery and open late nights on Friday and Saturday until 3 a.m. For excellent products, exceptional service every time. Visit Sarpino's in Naperville or order online at GoSarpinos.com.
And now for those of you with a sweet tooth out there. Folks, I gotta tell you, and I'm not saying what I'm about to say because they're a great sponsor of this radio station. I mean, they are, but I'm just saying, if you're in Naperville and you haven't visited Joe and Doe Donuts, you owe it to yourself and your kids to find out what a gourmet gourmet donut experience is all about. Since opening for business earlier this year, they've kind of taken the Naperville community by storm. I went in and tried their signature donut called the Maple Bacon Donut, and it just exploded on my taste buds. Then there was the Fat Elvis, which was enough to make me sing. Anyway, with an incredible selection of handmade donuts made with just the right texture and an array of toppings, do yourself a favor and indulge in a guilty pleasure. Joe and Doe Donuts is located 1523 North Aurora Road in Naperville and open 7 days a week. Give them a try. You won't regret it, and you'll definitely tell a friend.
Grow your business. At Signorama of Naperville, we offer customized solutions for signs, branding, marketing, and advertising. We have a full range of custom signs and graphic services to meet your needs, build your brand, and create your image. Look around and you'll see how our specialists help businesses enhance their visibility and get noticed. Let us work with you to understand your unique marketing goals and help you reach them. Call 630-527-0500 to meet with an expert at Signorama Naperville. That's 630-537-0500 or visit us online anytime at Signorama-Naperville.com. Custom solutions, friendly service. Signorama of Naperville, the way to grow your business.
We interrupt this program for the following. The popular program Here Comes Honey Boo Boo has been canceled. In other news, the stream's Faith in Humanity has been restored. We now return you to our scheduled program.
Welcome back to Paranormal Mojo. You're listening to 24.7 The Stream. It's the top of the hour, and we're talking paranormal investigating with Neal Gray. You ever wonder if you might have some hidden mojo? How can somebody tell that? Stay tuned, and we'll ask Neal a little later on. The chat room's open, and we are getting questions right and left from there. So we're going to get right to it and get some of those questions answered.
That's right. And if you are not the shy type, please give us a call at 618-421-4522. We'll get you live and on the air and with Neal, and you can answer your question. So you'll just want to do it.
Do it. Okay, so we have a question from Oriole Grace. Well, it's more of not a question so much, but she wants us to have Neal tell the story of us in the graveyard when he got pushed. Well, that sounds like a good story.
It's a good story, but you got to start somewhere with the story. And the story, we're currently in 2011. We have to go into 2012 for the beginning of this story. And this is in March. I actually met Ariel and Donna for the first time. They basically had their information at the Body, Mind, Spirit Expo, and I took the information and I saw that there was an automatic writing class. And in April, that's when I started doing automatic writing. By the end of 2012, and I think it was December, I actually had my first trans-channel experience, and that's when I started actually doing the trans-channeling. I think trans-channeling has opened a lot of information for me and has really helped me to understand my intuitive abilities.
Could you real quick just explain what trans-channeling is in case some of our listeners don't know what that is?
Okay. I was trying to get to the cemetery story, but okay.
I know.
So
leave it to Chris to veer off.
I'm sorry.
It's basically you have a higher energy being that wants to convey a message and will do it by using your physical body. And so you incorporate this higher energy into your field and you join with it and they start speaking.
Okay. So you're in the cemetery.
Yeah. So this goes into 2013 where I took Ariel and Donna on a couple of cemetery experiences. Well, Ariel, a couple of cemetery experiences. I took Donna on one. I think that kind of like ended it for her because we went to Bachelor's Grove and it was mosquitoes everywhere. Oh, yeah. So the other one was I can't remember that cemetery either. Anyway, so we're at the cemetery where Al Capone's buried and the Italian bride is, and the gravestones are massive. They have tons and tons of mausoleums there. And so we're just walking around trying to just find anything, just to see what's going on. And Ariel decides that she wants to go to this one mausoleum. And as I start to approach it, I fall backwards. And I catch myself before I completely fall backwards. I have my staff with me, and I'm still falling backwards. And I needed to, like, stay stable. So I think I was pushed. It was one of the rare times I was actually physically pushed. One of the other things that happened later is that we had a rush where it felt like a bunch of spirits just ran right by. That was one of the other weird experiences that happened at that cemetery.
Oh, that's crazy.
No kidding.
I think we have another question from Marcellus. Marcellus in the chat rooms would like to know, do you feel that paranormal teams can hurt more than help clients at times?
That is a good question because I think it depends on the team, and I think it depends on the expectation for that team. If the expectation is that team is going to completely resolve all of your problems, that is not a true statement by any sense. Even I won't guarantee successes. But I know that I would do everything that I could within my own abilities and my own resources to resolve a situation, get it to a point where it is livable.
Well, Neal, do you do clearings or cleansings of homes?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I don't normally get asked a lot, but
well,
I've actually had issues in my own home that I've had to clear out.
Okay.
No.
Well, kind of going along with Marcellus's question, I think, we have worked with people who have said that they had a team come in and they don't do anything beyond just the paranormal investigating part of it. And so it's like they would go in and do the investigation and capture some really creepy EVP and maybe some shadows on the wall that look like people. And so they're like, yeah, your house is haunted. See ya, because they don't do the other part of it. So in terms of hurting those clients in some ways, I think it can, because then they're even more frightened. It's like,
that's
you know what I'm saying.
That's why with my team, I actually instituted a intuitive support part of the team.
Good.
So basically, we have two parts to the team right now. One is an investigative side. The other one is intuitive, and it's intuitive consultants. So if you go to zeropointparanormal.weebly.com, you'll actually see that there is a difference. 0 Point Quantum Paranormal is the investigative. 0 Point Paranormal is the intuitive consultants. And basically, intuitive consultants, everything is free. We basically can either help you or can point you to somebody who could help you.
Good, yeah. And
that's really good.
And that's not just for people, that is also for other paranormal teams.
Mm-hmm. Good.
That is really good.
Yeah.
So when you do your cleansings, and especially in your own home, how do you go about doing that? Is there a ritual that you continue to do over and over again? And also, when do you know you need to clean your home? Or cleanse your home, I should say.
Well, that all comes from taking the Clarity classes. Clarity 101, which is the one that I teach, you get the basic clearing. with the Clarity 102 class, you actually get the advanced clearing, which you bring in all of your spirit guides, your angels, ascended masters. You create what is called a sacred space, and then you're able to move the spirit out fairly easily. What I was saying during the commercial break is that I actually had an experience recently where I had to cleanse my own home, and what was going on was I was experiencing a dream that was not real. And the dream was basically this. Your dad died several years ago, and the rest of your family has just died, and you're left alone. And it's just the worst feeling in the world.
Oh, yeah.
I had that 2 nights in a row, and the second night in a row, I'm like going, this is not from my mind. Where is this coming from? And instantly, I'm getting the intuitive message, there's a spirit here. And I'm like going, okay, you're gone. So I just go, all right, create my sacred space. And one of the things that I've been learning lately is I've been learning Huna, which is the Hawaiian healing modality. And one of the aspects of that is something called Ho'oponopono. And it's a really simple concept, but the results of it are like amazing. So Ho'oponopono is basically clearing yourself, and in clearing yourself, you heal the people, the places, whatever around you, being that you're actually responsible for what's going on, not they're responsible and they need to fix it. You need to fix it. Yeah, it's an interesting concept. The book that you can learn this is called Zero Limits by Joe Vitale. And it's this really great book. And what I've been doing is, as I've been clearing, I've been like going, okay, I'm going to do the Ho'oponopono, and that's even going to make it easier, and it does. It's amazingly easy now. It's like it just kind of like just eases right out.
Huh.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, Neal, do you know who your spirit guides are? Do you communicate with them like on a daily basis, or how does that work for you?
Oh, probably hourly.
Okay, good enough.
Well, I don't got names for my guides. I have names for my masters only because they're the ones that actually want to give me their names. Guides are not really forthcoming. Guardian angels, however, they're forthcoming. They're telling me stuff all the time. But my guides, I know I have a couple. I have the funny one showed up today, and he was just a riot this morning, so I've been having to deal with him.
And you can see them. You can see them like a living person, right? Or how does that work?
They're behind me.
They're the crayon people. Oh, they're behind you.
They're behind me. That's like I've never been able to see them because they kind of hide behind me. So they don't want to. They don't want to be seen. I've actually seen my ascended masters, and several of them, full body apparitions, white color, blow your mind.
Wow.
that kind of image is what I get with those. And it usually happens, they wake me up in the middle of the night, and you're like going, oh, you're in that mind state where it's like you're just imagining things. No, I wake up, and then I'm like looking around the room, and there's somebody standing there. And I look at them, and they're still standing there, smiling back. You know.
Oh, that's funny. So can you see, like, if you were to look at Chris, would you be able to see her ascended masters or guides?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Not in the same sense per se. When I look at a person's, I usually see like the heads, and they kind of look like lumps just sitting there in reality. And then if you look above, you get a more glowy thing. If you look down, fairies, they kind of look like little dust bunnies or something like that. Occasionally they'll have like little white boxes on them, and I've been told that's clipboards because they're being very efficient. I don't know why, but it's like when you got your intentions working and your fairies are going full throttle helping you out, they got clipboards, little piece of paper and everything.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, but usually when I do readings, and I started doing readings earlier this year. I started in February. I was doing a metaphysical tune-up, which was basically doing an empathic, trying to feel what a person's body, what's going on in there. And I actually took on a lot of people's pains in that process. So it's like if somebody had a knee injury at one point, I would actually feel the pain of the knee injury. And I'd be like, okay, you got a knee injury. It feels like it's an old one. You know, and I was taking that on to myself. I didn't want to keep that up because it really is a draining process. In the process of doing that, though, I started seeing little data screens come up in my field of vision. And they were like telling me like vitamins that were needed and vitamins that don't need, and a lot of data shows up on these screens, and you try to like work through them, just try to filter what you need, because most of the time people get this information but they ignore it because it's way too much. I mean, it's like if you got the newspaper every week, but that newspaper was the size of War and Peace, you're never going to get through it. Right. You're never going to read all of it. So most of it you're just going to discard. You're like, I don't need this, I don't need this, I don't need this. And so what you have to learn is to try to bring some of that back. I'm like, I need this information now. And so your guides have all this time been removing the information, and now they're being told, oh, don't remove it. You know,
that's got to be pretty confusing. It's confusing already. I mean, I feel like that's a hard job.
It is a hard job, especially for you, because once you start getting this information, it almost becomes an overload. Mm-hmm. Because it's like there's just so much information, and then you like go, everything's information, and it's like you look at an object, and then you start seeing information about the object. You'll actually see names that were attached to the object.
Is that why, like, I know myself, and I'm sure that if I ask you, you probably have the same. There will be an instance where you're fine, and all of a sudden, bam, you have a headache, and it's like, where the heck did that come from?
Well,
kind of thing, and it seems
not a headache per se. Usually, what happens in large amount of crowds, I start getting shut down. Like I can't even hear people. It's just too much noise, and so it's like somebody talking right to me. Can't hear them.
I'm gonna mute you for a second. We're gonna go ahead and take our last break of the night, but ponder this question while you're listening to our sponsors. Where do fairies get their glitter from? You're listening to WHVR DB 24.7 The Stream.
Are you looking for a bigger, better, faster network or hosting solution? Then BBF Network can help. The good people at BBF Network provide hosting, web design and repair, domain registration, consultations, and troubleshooting services for your home or business. Don't trust just anyone with your network solution. Trust the secure and reliable guarantee of BBF Network. Call today at 855-GO-BBF-HOST. That's 855-GO-BBF-HOST. Or visit them on the web at bbfnetwork.com. Providing secure and reliable hosting plans as little as $4.95 per month, you have everything you need to begin your next project. So call today at 855-GO-BBF-HOST. bbfnetwork.com. Making things happen.
grow your business. At Signarama of Naperville, we offer customized solutions for signs, branding, marketing, and advertising. We have a full range of custom signs and graphic services to meet your needs, build your brand, and create your image. Look around and you'll see how our specialists help businesses enhance their visibility and get noticed. Let us work with you to understand your unique marketing goals and help you reach them. Call 630-527-0500 to meet with an expert at Signarama Naperville. That's 630-537-0500 or visit us online anytime at Signarama-Naperville.com. Custom solutions, friendly service. Signarama of Naperville, the way to grow your business. 24.7 The Stream is proud to recognize official sponsor Sarpino's Pizzeria, right here in Naperville. Serving the Naperville community for many years, Sarpino's features a fantastic menu and offers you a 5-star gourmet experience guaranteed. You won't find a more diverse menu of succulent appetizers, fresh salads, custom sandwiches, entrees, or tasty desserts at any other pizzeria in the area. Conveniently located at 1567 North Aurora Road in Naperville, Sarpino's is open all 365 days, offering free delivery and open late nights on Friday and Saturday until 3 a.m. For excellent products, exceptional service every time. Visit Sarpino's in Naperville or order online at GoSarpinos.com.
The weather outside is cold, but we're smoking hot.
Hot damn.
You're listening to the best in paranormal talk on WHVR Digital Broadcasting.
We're back, baby, right here where we started from at 24.7 The Stream. Wow, the time's flying by as usual. Chat room's open, so skip on over to 24.7 The Stream, hit the Unexplained channel, and listen and chat. We've got your mojo going on right here, so if you have a question, just type it right on in there, and we'll get you an answer. Actually, we do have a couple questions still that we probably need to get back to. Marcellus Walensky, he has another one. He wants to know, Neal, what role do you feel a sensitive or medium type has on an investigative team, and how much should you trust in their take on things?
Well, the investigative team, whether it has an intuitive or not, is responsible for gathering evidence. So an intuitive, their role is actually to get evidence as well. I don't think a lot of intuitives think that way, but me being both an investigator and an intuitive, I would say I would prefer that I would have evidence. Don't believe what I say, believe what's on the tape.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
I agree 100% with you. You know, I'm not going to lie, I almost feel more of a skeptic the more I learn about my gifts and things come to me than before. So
yeah. Well, that was one of the things for me, because like when I was doing the readings, I wanted to make sure that I was getting proper information. And so once I started seeing things in people's auric field, then I actually started doing readings. But that took me a while to get to that point.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You said there was another question? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. It's from Christopher. I'm assuming Christopher Fisher. And he wants to know, Neal, like myself, do you get a lot of information from dreams?
I don't say I would call that dreams. What goes on is I'm actually transported to another location. I've been there several times. I could actually draw the design and layout of this house. I don't know where it is. I do know what the outside looks like. There's paved roads, cement, but there are no power lines. So I don't know where it is that I am, but I've been there several times. One of the interesting things that has happened there is I actually went into one of the rooms and there was a wooden mirror, which is very odd to see because it looked like wood and then it just faded. And what happened was the image on the other side was every single one of my past lives was looking back at me.
Oh, wow.
And there was hundreds.
I was going to say, I mean, there had to have been quite a few.
Yeah.
Well, I think Christopher gets a lot of information about his past lives through dreams. It seems like, don't you think, Laura? Just from things he types in the chat room and conversations with Carrie.
Definitely sounds that way.
Yeah, so there you go, Christopher.
Yeah, I think I was actually given a job opportunity through one of my visits to this location. And it took me a while to figure out who they were talking about, but they were talking about Aragot. If you ever watched those spirit science videos on YouTube or read works of Drunvalo Melchizedek, he talks about Thoth and Aragot around the time of Atlantis. And so they asked me if I wanted to work with Aragot.
And you said, hex, yeah, I will.
Well, I was very hesitant. I'm like going, well, let me think about it. And then afterwards, I'm like going, oh, why didn't I just say yes? So I've actually had one run-in with Aragot, and that was last week. Yeah. Yeah.
Before we came back from the break, you and I were kind of talking a little bit about an instance where you were channeling, and the vibrations in that were just incredibly draining. Do you want to kind of talk about that?
Yeah, well, my trans-channeling experience and my intuitive experience, I've always said if I can go through it and know what's going on, I can tell other people about it and relate it to them. So for trans-channeling, you were telling me about your experience with the headache, and I asked the question whether you experienced a spinning sensation. Mm-hmm. And for me, my first time trying to trans-channel, what happened was the spirit tried to spin me first. And that is the wrong method because you'll get very sick if they do that. For me, what they're doing is they're like raising my energy, so it kind of feels like you press the up button on the elevator, and it feels like your legs are just pulled right straight down. Mm-hmm. Exact same sensation. And then you were talking about the headache, and the thing about the headache is when you have an energy level that is incompatible with yours, tries to make a connection and fails, then it causes you to have this headache. And I've had a couple of instances where that's been the case, where I'm just not at the right energy level for the being or ascended master trying to come through. And it's a painful headache. I won't be wrong.
Yeah, from what I can remember, the different times that I've had this type of headache, I actually have, physically gotten sick from it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's pretty intense. That's the way I would put it. Chris, you said that you felt this way before.
I have felt that, like, just that spinning, and where, like you said, the elevator thing, that just describes it exactly. And I've actually, like, put my back up against the wall and sat down on the floor so I wouldn't fall, because I felt like I was going to fall. I just thought I was, like, having a stroke or something, But it would it would pass right away. And but that's interesting that when you say that, it's when you were saying that, it's like, oh, wow, that's just a pretty good description. I've had that a number of times over the years. Not like every day.
Well, the trick when it comes to channeling is that you need to make sure that you recognize the energy before you allow it to completely come through.
I don't want to channel anything ever. That freaks me out.
But these
Ghosts
ascended
don't
masters
scare
are the coolest people in the world you'll ever meet. I mean, take Albion, for example. He's the first one I dealt with. He is like the best friend you would ever have times 10. I mean, that's the way he feels when he comes through. It's like, oh my gosh, you're the best ever. You know? And crazy story. I didn't know what all the symbology was when I was doing the automatic writing. I thought Albion was just an arbitrary name for a higher level being. Turns out it's all connected. It's actually King Arthur. They actually have me connecting through the star system Arcturus, which also stands for King Arthur. They have me sit in a chair, which is the throne, and it's like every single step along the way was like screaming King Arthur, and they just did not say Arthur.
That's interesting.
So it was just earlier this year that I made the connection. I'm like going, you're the ascended form of King Arthur. It's like, yep.
Is there a reason why sometimes spirits are kind of cryptic when they give you messages?
You have to be in the right mind space at the right time. If they give you information before you can use it, it's completely meaningless. There's a reason why you get the information you do, when you do, and how you do.
That makes sense.
It also comes from, I'm getting Albion saying this, it also comes from choice. You have to make a choice. And if you don't make a choice, then the process never happens, and you never make these connections, and you never get to where you're going.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Chris, are you still with us? Are you live out there?
I am. I'm quite alive. I'm just
she's
soaking it all
channeling
in.
now.
I know. So how can someone tell if they are gifted? Like, how can they, I guess, how exactly did you know that you just weren't, I guess, schizo or something?
I'm not
I shouldn't say
schizophrenic.
schizo.
I don't have the voices talking out loud to me. It's like, once I figured out how to quiet the mental chatter I had for myself, then I realized that somebody else is in there and saying stuff, and then that's how I made the connection. Oh, yeah, through channeling, now I'm getting the intuitive information. And so, like, when people ask me questions, I can respond really quickly because the answer is being right there from the guides. They're actually saying the answer.
And that really
Most people
is the
don't know
hardest
that
part, isn't it? Is to quiet, is to get to that quiet
Well, there's
place.
that. Most people don't know that everybody has this ability, and it's just a matter of choosing to follow it and see it through, to learn how to use it, learn how to get a hold of it, learn how to work with it, and then just use it.
That's cool. So you, I'm going to guess that you meditate. When did you kind of take up meditation, and what is your favorite meditation?
I'm horrible at meditating. I don't have a regular practice of it. Everybody's probably like, what? You should be meditating more often. I probably should be. Basically, I've done some meditative practicing. There was one time we spent several months going to a class on meditation brought by the Science of Spirituality in Naperville. And their meditation was you concentrate on the name of God for a half hour. For me, that's no problem. I have no problem with a half hour of just doing that. But I don't choose to do it.
Right.
Do you think that practicing yoga helps?
I consider yoga a modality in the same vein as Reiki. Mm-hmm. So what you're actually doing there is you're learning how to work with energy. So like Qigong or some other martial arts get you into working with energy there as well. And the whole point of intuition is that it pairs really good with a healing modality. And so once you have the intuition and the modality working, then you're actually able to get all that stuff going in your head.
Well, I got to tell you, I was out shopping the other day and I saw this yoga CD or DVD, whatever, and something just said, you have to buy that. You have to buy that. So I did. I've not used it yet, but I thought, I don't know what that was about, but I think I was supposed to have that. So I'm going to check it out.
That's really funny that you say that, Chris, because also this week, something told me that I do a lot of podcasts. I look them up a lot. And something told me you should randomly see if there's a yoga podcast and do it. I have yet to do it because I look at that and I'm like, oh, that's exercise.
Well, maybe Reiki is more up your speed then.
Wait, hey, we are both going to do the whole Reiki thing. We just...
Yes.
Yeah, I learned Reiki, but I know I'm not supposed to do it, and since I've been working with my masters, they've been teaching me something completely different, and they have me just whipping out energy as if it's like a laser beam. It's really messed up.
I feel really, really drawn to Reiki right now. I really do.
That's good.
Yeah, I think it's kind of fun. You know. Hey, we have another question from Marcellus. We love Marcellus. He keeps us on our toes and keeps us good and busy here in the chat room. He wants to know, Neal, what do you consider proof of the paranormal?
There's no such thing as proof of the paranormal because the problem is that you would need some sort of scientific way to back that up, and currently there is no such way to do that. Until science catches up with spirituality to the point where it can prove the paranormal, then there's no way we could ever prove that. The best we can do is provide evidence that there is something, and we can try to come up with ways of resolving issues when things go wrong.
That's a very good answer. So, when you listen to the news nowadays, you have to wonder, is there more evil in the world than there used to be? What's your thought on this? What does the spirit realm think of it? Do the ascended masters and angels have something to say?
Well, it goes back to what I said about Ho'oponopono, in that all that is actually you. So if you feel like there is a lot of evil, look to yourself and see how much of you is that evil. And
I mean, like 130-some children getting shot to death in Pakistan or wherever that happened today or yesterday. I mean,
okay, I didn't know
evil.
that till now. Thank you very much.
That is just pure evil, though. I mean, it really is. Who would do that?
Well, in my reality, it didn't exist until just this moment, so...
Oh, well, it did in other people's realities, and it didn't come from me.
But it was one of the things where I was actually speaking with my ascended masters, and I was asking them things like, how did Jesus do his healing? You know, was it just Reiki, like some people suggest? Was there something more to it? And so they've been working with me, and one of the things is that Ho'oponopono plays right into it, and it has something to do with the state of yourself in relation to the people that you are in contact with, and using a modality, say like Reiki, to work with the energies and resolve the issue. That requires a lot on your end because it relies on yourself, knowing that yourself is clear of any of these maladies or pains or diseases, and being able to transfer it. So one of the things that I've been doing as a part of my readings is occasionally I'll feel like somebody has arthritis in their hands, and I'll actually put my hands above and below, and I'll transfer what I consider my code for my hands onto their hands. And by doing that, I have taken what normally they would have as their hands, and I would make it mine, because mine, I don't have arthritis right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that it does relieve the pain a little bit. I mean, it doesn't relieve it completely, because those aren't my hands, it's their hands. They still see themselves as having that arthritis. But because I've done it, I've laid my code on top of theirs, basically a programming idea, is that I am replacing what they have with what I have, which I don't have pain there. And there is some level of effect to that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it turns out I was talking with one of the other people that go to Elevated Delights about that kind of technique, and she said, well, that's a shamanistic technique. And I said, well, I just came up with it out of thin air. How is that possible? So, yeah. It was a little disconcerting to me, because I'm not quite sure if what I'm experiencing is real, knowing that this information is coming to me and I'm just going with it, whether it's valid or not. So I do a lot of back and forth working with my ascendants, like trying to understand what it is they're trying to get to me. And it's a slow process.
I bet it is. So have you ever, either walked onto a piece of property or been next to, maybe in a public area, to somebody and just felt such negativity from that place or that person that you were like, I'm not dealing with this, and turned around and walked the other way?
The disturbance in the force. Yeah, I actually felt it. Last year I was in Flagstaff, Arizona, walking downtown. There's an old hotel down there. I didn't even know anything about the hotel or anything like that. As soon as I stepped onto the property, I instantly felt that negative, dark energy that's in that hotel. Instantly. And as soon as I walked off of it, gone. It was almost as if somebody was at the window of that place yelling at me. It was that intense.
Wow.
Yeah, I've kind of always thought sometimes that certain buildings like that, they almost have an aura, just like a person does. Or, you just really can just feel it if it's haunted or if there are energies there.
Yeah, well, everything has energy.
Yeah.
And so everything has data associated with it. So if you're really being intuitive and you're really collecting the information and looking at it, then you will see, hey, something's going on.
Yeah.
And it's like you'll actually be walking along and you'll actually hear in your head, ghost, ghost, ghost. And it's like, okay, there's a ghost here. What should I do about it? Get rid of it.
That's funny. Well, there's been places that we'll drive by for whatever reason in other towns, and I'll just say that, oh my God, that place is so haunted. Let's find out who owns it. We got to get in there. And sure enough, when you called us to make that initial, what would you think of having a paranormal investigation in there? They're like, oh my God, this place is so haunted. And they'll go on and on. That's happened so many times that it's just incredible to me.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is there a particular place that you would like to travel to either talk to the spirit that is there or just simply do an investigation?
The place I would love to go to most is actually the Winchester Mystery Mansion. Only because of how strange the energy is in that place.
It would have to be, wouldn't it?
It's kind of on my bucket list of places to go to. A couple years ago, I went to the Stanley Hotel. I've been to the Jerome Grand Hotel. That was not as impressive. Actually, the Stanley Hotel was pretty funny. We were actually in the hotel room, and we were on the 3rd floor, and the most haunted rooms are on the 2nd floor. And I have a pretty clear EVP. I started by, basically one of the companions I was with farted, and I said, I have to apologize for my sister-in-law. She is farted. You hear this voice, and it sounds like it's just on the other side of the room go, yeah, she stinks. It's like there is nobody on the floor, and it was nobody else in the room except me, my wife, and my sister-in-law. And I got that in the recording. I'm like, yeah.
Nice.
So what does your family and, your wife, your parents, whatever, your siblings, what do they think about the things that you do now?
Well, my wife is okay with it. She doesn't really buy into the ghost investigating stuff, so she doesn't try to get involved with that. She says, that's your thing. You do whatever you want. As for my family, they're really conservative in the religious sort of way. So I try to keep them out of it as much as possible. Because I don't want them to try to do an exorcism on me. That doesn't make any sense. I haven't really changed my belief system just because I've experienced all this other stuff. I just don't go to church because I don't like how they're playing out what they do in the church. I think it's... Well, I could get into a long, involved comment about that, but I won't.
Okay.
Suffice it to say, I have reasons why I don't go to church, and it's a valid reason.
Okay.
There we go.
I don't have a problem with the church. I just have a problem with going to church.
And that's totally fine. So... do you believe in demons? Now, you mentioned that you've seen an elemental before, so you definitely believe in elementals. But what about demons? Are they real?
Well, I have not seen one. I would assume that the experience I had in Flagstaff was demon-related, but I have no way to tell for sure. The closest thing I've had was a... psychic attack, and that actually happened a couple weeks ago. And I was actually in astral state in my bedroom. I had sat up in bed, and this thing came straight at me. I mean, it looked kind of like a fuzzy monster.
Oh, wow.
And so I was able to deflect it, but it was not human. I'm pretty sure of that.
Wow.
Well, that's kind of scary. Has there ever been a time in your life where you have been scared by something paranormal?
Come to mention that, there is one. I had been to Lemp Mansion in St. Louis.
And tell us about that.
Lemp Mansion, we stayed there 2 nights. Which, after the fact, it seemed like we were kind of brave as assuming we'd stay to 2 nights. But the first night was actually the most active. I felt when I was in the room that first night, do not leave the room. Whatever you do not leave the room. And that was almost like a fear-like sensation. I haven't had that in a long time. That was 2009 that we did that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was quite a while ago. But yeah, that was probably one of the last times I had fear involving the paranormal. If I go back, I'm going to be like, what? I'm going to go where I'm going to go. You want to come with me? You can come with me. Let's check this out.
But that's true. Do you find that the more you've investigated the paranormal, the less you are afraid of it? I mean, like you had said earlier, you really don't get afraid. You get excited when things happen.
Well, yeah. I mean, once you've learned about something and then have, been experiencing it for a while, you actually, want to work with it. You actually get into the mindset, hey, let's do this. Let's go in there. And it's like, oh, yeah, that looks like we might have something. It's like, what did the dowsing rods say? The dowsing rods say go in there. So guess what? We're going in there, Yeah. Whereas, somebody else who hasn't had that experience, hasn't had that kind of working through it process, where they're like, oh, no.
Yeah, and they think that the more you see of it, the more you should be afraid of it. And when you try to explain that to them, that it's just the opposite. That they don't understand that. Some people. I've had that conversation. Hey, we do have another question from Marcellus, also from the chat room.
Yeah, and we just to let everyone know, we do have about 8 minutes till the end of the show. So,
okay. He wants to know, what's the most active location you've investigated in the Midwest? That's a good question.
I would say Limp is probably the most active. And I had on my recorder that first night at least one EVP every 15 minutes.
Wow.
And we're talking different voices, male, female, child. We were actually up in the room where the little monkey face boy supposedly resides. We stayed there. Turns out that's the most haunted room. So the next night, somebody saw a full shadow apparition. Stuff was moved around. Chandelier was swinging for no reason whatsoever. There was 2 chandeliers in a room, and one was swinging.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I would still say Limp Mansion is one of the more active that I've been to.
Cool.
And that's
very cool.
And that's just based off of what evidence I've got. And I've seen shows that have gone there, and I'm like going, what'd you do? Because you didn't get enough evidence. I mean, I got more evidence on a single recorder than they do, and all the multiple recorders and cameras and everything. So I don't know what they're doing, but they're doing it wrong. I was asleep half the time, too. Try to figure that out.
Wow. Awesome.
Nice. Well, would you like to kind of pimp yourself out to our listeners and let them know where they can get a hold of you or find out more about you?
Sure.
And your classes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The classes you can get through Elevated Delights. You can find them on Facebook quite easily. Also at elevatedelights.com. You might be able to find it through gangofgirls.com as well. I don't check that site very much. I apologize. So if you want to get a hold of me directly, I would say friend me on Facebook as Pair Channel Neal Gray. I do have 2 Facebook identities, and the second one is just for my family because they don't need to see this stuff.
Right.
I do have an email, a personal email, and that is aplanetaryguide@gmail.com. I think I got lucky in picking that email address up. And I have a website that is theparanormaldude.weebly.com. Turns out there's nobody calling themselves the Paranormal Dude and having their own website.
Wow.
I was kind of surprised by that. I started that about a year ago. As far as my paranormal group, that is 0 Point Paranormal. You can actually email 0pointparanormal@gmail.com, or you can go to the website, 0pointparanormal.weebly.com.
And are you currently taking on clients? Just
we don't get asked that often, so.
Oh, okay.
If anybody wants a consult on an intuitive front, feel free to contact me. I'll give it to you straight up. So I teach the Clarity 101 class. Clarity 101 is basic intuition. It'll give you all the groundwork you need to know, and then some. If you're not seeing things in actual vision, that will actually give you the information you need to do that. You actually do readings at the end of the first class, and by the end of it, you're actually able to cross spirits over. So we hold that class every other month. So if you can't show up for 1 month, we're doing it again 2 months. So if you can't make it on the time that's scheduled, contact me. I'll set up a special time for you.
Very cool.
I'll work with anybody so that they can get this information, because I think it's important information they need to know.
Awesome.
Also, if you go to Elevated Delights in Naperville, you'll actually see my collection of wands for sale next to a giant picture of me.
Always awesome.
Your lightsaber?
Yep, me and my lightsaber.
Yay.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a very interesting and fun night. Learned a lot.
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun.
I think we'll have to have you back on.
Yeah, maybe we'll actually do a reading next time.
Ooh, that'd be fun. Yeah. Have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
And Merry Christmas to you and all of your listeners.
Yes, thanks for coming.
All right. Well, of course, tonight we also want to give a big thanks to Steven, our producer, and to Todd and Jen Mitchell with Jen Mitchell Graphics Designs. She does our banners each week. I do want to mention to our listeners real quick that the next 2 weeks we will be having a rerun on the show. We are taking time off to spend time with our loved ones.
Yes, we are. But we want to send much